Welcome back to G-Tech Motorworks. Today we've got an Audi R8 V10 Plus, and guess what? We're going to show you the mammoth task of taking the rear bumper off. Come with me. Here at G-Tech we take care and pride in making sure that the vehicles don't get scratched. So what we do is we use a protective film and cover the panels that we'll be working on or might be in contact with whilst working on the cars. So as you can see here, I'm using a clear protective film which looks a little bit like PPF, but worse. So onto these long gloss trim panels which run up the side of the engine bay. These are a nightmare to get to, guys. You have to use a long T30 and lean over to get to the other side. So they are bolted in with 4 bolts and they are clipped in as well, and these were an absolute nightmare to get to, but with a little bit of care and attention, off they come. Okay, so onto the other side, we lean over, undo the 4 bolts and basically do the same. Main thing here, you need to be organised. There's about 785 million bolts holding the back end of this R8, so I need some kind of organisation, so that's why I keep the pots in place. So, more plastic under here. We disconnect the plug for the engine bay lighting. Next, we disconnect the strut for the engine glass lid, remove the plastic trim, and then we repeat the process on the other side.
But I'm knowing life is fast. Everybody's got their path. Need you to meet me where I'm at. Can't see me through these tents that they asking who is that.
So next we're on to the painted honeycomb grille which sits in front of the spoiler. This is held on with 4 T30 bolts, 2 in the centre and 2 on either side. We lift the bolts out using a magnet. Now, extra care must be taken when removing this because they're held in place with 2 notches which sit into rubber grommets, so you have to give them a little pull, otherwise they'll break. Okay, so onto the spoiler. These are held on with 2 T30s going to the back of the car. Once we remove those, there are 2 brackets on either side which hold those housings for the piece that we just took off. I remove these simply because it gives you access to get to the spline bolts which also hold this housing on for the spoiler. Once you remove the brackets, we undo the multi-spline bolts and off comes the spoiler. So with the R8 V10 Plus in the locking wheel nut set, you do get a black long stud. The reason for this is when you're taking the wheel off, you simply screw it into the hub in place of one of the wheel bolts, undo the rest of the wheel bolts, and as you remove the wheel, this acts as a guide and a spacer so the wheel does not drop onto the caliper and ensures that you don't damage the wheel and the caliper. So we've been very busy at the top removing the panels and the spoiler. Finally that's off. It was a mammoth task. We've removed the rear wheels using these pins just to support them as they come off. What we're going to do next is we are going to remove these bolts inside here. If you have a look, these are held on by a series of 10mm plastic bolts and T25s. This whole arch liner needs to come off to gain access to the bolts behind for the bumper. So I'm going to crack on, see you in a second. So now we have the wheels off, we must remove the arch line trims. Now these are held on with about 200 T25s, not really. There's about 15 to 20 T25s and a series of 10mm plastic self-tapping nuts. So once we remove these, the arch line trim can come off. We can gain access to the screws behind this that hold the bumper into the place onto the plastic bracket. So once I've done this side, I'll move on to the next side.
Suffice till it don't shows. My passion might lead me out to what life is an open door. Sometimes it just takes a little bit more to keep me right. Oh, wish you the best if you ain't know this would be like. So I miss so much the days we was rolling for pins and whites. And Lord, it done been some nice, but don't grow any.
Okay, so up goes the R8 V10 Plus. We need to get underneath to remove the under tray. So the under tray is held on with another 60,000 T25s, not really, but quite a few amount of T25s, and some plastic push fit clips. Once we've done that, we're back into the wheel arch to remove some heat shielding which attaches to the back of the bumper. These are very important because they protect the heat from the exhaust, making sure nothing will melt inside the wheel arch. Very clever design by Audi. And once we've done that, we will take out some more T25s for the side of the bumper so we can release the bumper. A big connector comes off for the parking sensors, and once that's done, we will need to go to the back of the bumper and remove the number plate lights, undo the plugs, take the lights out, and now we must be able to remove the bumper. Oh, hold on, another T25. Let's remove this T25 and then we can remove the bumper.
I'm like, yes, ain't no stress, you the best. I'm obsessed. I'm like, yes, ain't no stress, you the best.
Look, how you get so good at being modest, girl, be honest. You said you done trusting these niggas, made yourself a promise. I hate to make you take it back.
Welcome back everyone. So we've been very busy on the R8 V10 Plus. Today, most of my day, I've been removing this mammoth of a bumper with the carbon rear diffuser. Absolutely pig of a job, I'm not going to lie to you. If you could do this at home, come and ring us and I'll employ you, because it's difficult on a ramp. Next guys, we are going to go forward and fit a Larini Club Sport exhaust to this. Click the link below in the description if you want to see that video. Stay tuned to G-Tech Motorworks for more content like this. Like, share and subscribe. Catch you soon.
When you really got them digits, I'm obsessed. I'm like, yes, ain't no stress, you the best. I'm obsessed. I'm like, yes, ain't no stress, you